Hey, everybody out there, you're tuned in to 91.8 The Fan. You're in my corner, and I have a very special guest in the corner. Would you like to unveil your identity?
Well, I'm not baby because no one puts baby in the corner. But I am Jamie Marchi.
Well, now, you don't have a mask or anything, so luckily it wasn't that big of an unveil. We didn't have to,
Right.
put streamers up or a cape or anything like that.
Surprise!
Surprise!
It's me! Yay!
We were actually kind of talking in the background. We have very similar weather woes, from what I can tell. It
Yes.
sounds very hot there, and I understand your pain completely.
Yeah, it's awful. It's really so terribly hot, and it just gets worse. Although there is a 20% chance of rainstorms tonight.
Ooh, nice. I
I'm
haven't seen
excited about it. Like
rain
if I could
in Vegas.
If I could have enough rain to just wear one galosh, I will be good to go. Just one. That's all I need. And then everything will be like heaven.
That sounds like a really good plan.
Yeah, that's what I'm going to try to do. We'll see what happens. I'll let you know.
All right, awesome.
It's not going to rain. I can tell you that right now. It's just a bunch of lies.
Well, talking about plans, did you plan to become an actress, or did your interest spark when maybe you were watching TV or singing in the shower? What made you want to pursue that path?
Well, as cheesy as this is going to sound, I've never not wanted to perform. Like, I can't ever remember a time where I didn't want to be on stage or doing something performance-wise. And so I was in, theater when I was in high school and all of that stuff, and I went to the University of Oklahoma, Boomer Sooner, to be in their theater program, and I graduated with a Bachelor of Fine Arts with an acting emphasis. And so, yeah, I was really pretty sure from an early age that I wanted to be an actor, and that's, where I started. Being a voice actor, I never would have imagined I would be doing what I'm doing right now. That's the crazy part. Like, I thought I would be an actor, but I had no idea it would go the path that it's gone, because I didn't really know the path was even there. So it's kind of funny how it worked out, but I'm really glad that it did, because I love my job.
Well, how did you get into anime? Did you just hear about Audition and you're like, well, I've never done this before, so I'll try it? Or were you recommended or anything like that?
I was at, this is a true story. I was at, and I say true story a lot, but it's not because I lie when I don't say true story. I just like the word true story. Anyway, so I was at a party at a friend's house, a casual luncheon type party on a weekend, and I had already been acting and had already done voiceovers for commercials and things like that. And I met someone who worked for Funimation, and I knew the show Dragon Ball Z because my brother was a big fan of it. So we talked about that a little bit, and he said, well, you're an actor. You should come audition. And I said, yeah, okay, because as an actor, you never turn down an audition unless it's unseen. And then sometimes you do it anyway. But anyway, so I went and I auditioned, and the first show that I auditioned for was Fruits Basket, and I got cast right away. So it was just kind of a strange bumping into this person. Didn't even know they were in the area, didn't even know that it was really a thing, and went and it worked out. So I think a lot of us that work at Funimation, we kind of just lucked into it or bumped into it, and it was very much the right time situation, and I consider myself very blessed to be at the right time. And also, work with great people that become your good friends. That's kind of awesome, too.
And now, were you nervous the first time stepping into the booth? Were you, unsure, am I doing this right? I don't know.
The first time for me was easier because my character in Fruits Basket, Motoko Minagawa, she was the Yuki fan club president. Little crazy, just a little bit, but a lot of what her lines were off. So her mouth wasn't actually moving, and I didn't have to worry about matching flaps. or doing any kind of reactions for the most part. So the first time was gravy. Like, I was like, this is awesome. I can just totally act. I don't have to worry about anything. I just talk. It was fantastic. And then after that, I was cast as jury in Yu Yu Hakusho, and things got a little more complicated. Then it was like, what? I have to match that? And then I have to make these reactions. And the first time you ever make reactions, you always feel stupid. Just, there's no way I'm going to do this correct. There's no way this sounds right. I sound like an idiot right now. It's really hard not to judge yourself. But everybody feels like that at the beginning. Like, oh, I sound ridiculous. Going, like, who does that? But, yeah, it took a little getting used to. But once you get used to it, now it's reactions are the easy part.
And those, I always hear, are some of the most fun parts as well, like grunts or ahs or things like that. Do you enjoy that part the most, or is there something a little bit more endearing that you like more?
Well, it really depends on the character. You know, I recently had a character that took quite a tumble, and it was in a comedic way. So being able to voice that was a lot of fun, where you could just go, you know, and just, you know, sound like you're in a wind turbine or whatever. So that was, you know, kind of fun. But it really depends on the character, you know. So one of my favorite characters is the narrator in Hitalia. She doesn't have any reactions, but everything she says is so loaded that that's a lot of fun too. You know, it really depends. Each character brings something different to the table, but you love for different reasons. You know, if it's an evil character, I'm going to love that because you know, who doesn't love being the evil character? It's always just fun. And silly characters are, you know, sassy. They always have something different that makes me love them all in different ways. But yeah, reactions can definitely be a blast, especially if they're wrong or under, like if you're leaving, if you're just being silly, and then you have to get it again. But that's always very fun too.
Well, I always hear that a session is sort of like a therapy session, and you know, either to get your anger out, or maybe your sadness, or energy, or just some way to focus your emotions.
Oh, that is so true. That is so true. Like, I did this, I was doing, what was it? I think it was First Angel, the last episode, which is very emotional, and I was having some family stuff happening at the time, and so it got to a point where you either tap into it and you use it and you go 100% for the role, or you don't and you don't give it what it needs, and it doesn't sound quite as awesome. So, you know, you decide to go for it. I went for it and was just a ball of tears and snot in the booth. And I was recording, and at that time, this was in one of the older building that before Funimation moved to this newer one, but they had a tour come through the studios. So they opened a door, and all these people came into the studio to watch it because they were on a tour, and I'm sitting there like this giant wreck of a person and trying to act while having all these people watch me be very, very vulnerable. And so I kind of hid behind the door, and then whenever it was time for my line, I'd jump up and do it and then like hide behind the door for a little bit. They were probably only there a couple of minutes, but it really stuck with me. You know, I'm so glad I went for it, but it was very bizarre.
Well, on the plus side, you only got, you know, snot on like the microphone and not any guests.
That's true. I was shut in the room. I was the only one with my snot, so it was probably for the best. Yeah.
And it's kind of interesting that they get to do tours like that. Hopefully, some other ones when you've been there have been a little bit more happy.
Yes. Well, I mean, it's funny. It was funny at the time. But I guess that maybe that could just be me. My reaction to everything is, this is hilarious, or this is going to be hilarious later. But yeah, some of the tours are fun, and I recently had a tour come in when I was directing Hitalia, the third season, and it was just some children, and I thought, well, Eric Vale, who plays America, was in there, and I thought, you're going to find something that you can do that these children can watch.
Oh, boy.
And so, yeah, It was very funny. It was definitely very funny. And we did it and recorded, and they got to see, and they thought it was really cool. And then they went on somewhere else. I don't know where they go once they leave, but then then we laughed heartily.
They just disappear into the factory somewhere.
Yes, yeah. It's like, as long as I don't have to watch my P's and Q's.
Now, I'm kind of curious because we don't have too many ADR scriptwriters or ADR directors. Oh, seems we might be getting some feedback on our side. Gonna see what that is real quick, but we're going to take a short break while we check some technical difficulties over here, so keep it tuned to 91.8 The Fan. Everything you want and nothing you don't.
Hi, I'm the Celtic Guardian, but you guys can call me Dave. When I'm not busy being sacrificed in order to summon monsters that are halfway useful, I like to listen to 918 The Fan, one of the hottest online radio shows on the worldwide internet highway. Did I mention I have like 1,400 attack points? That's a big deal in my world, you know. Plus, I have a sword. Does the Blue Eyes White Dragon have a sword? No. Fuck the Blue Eyes White Dragon. Seriously.
Hey, everybody out there. You're tuned in to 91.8 The Fan. We found out what the technical difficulties was, and I'm blaming our producer, Christmas, for this one. It's all his fault.
It's Chris's fault.
Yeah.
I'm a witness.
Yeah, I have a witness for once. It's not my fault. Yes. Okay. But as you can tell, our guest is still here. Before we got cut off from the technical difficulties, I was trying to ask you a little bit about script writing and directing, because it's very rare that the listeners get to hear about it, so I was wondering if you could just explain the basic concept of both of them.
Okay. Well, as far as a director goes, you have scripts that have been adapted. So the English scripts, you have those, and then you cast a show. So you call everybody in and you audition them, and they read sides, which are different lines that different characters say, and then you cast it from that. This is a quick summary. And then when you have your cast, you determine using a specific algorithm how many hours you need each actor for. So you book them for however many hours they need. And the main part, what you do is direct them in the booth. So the actor comes into the booth, and you only have one actor at a time. So as a voice actor, I record by myself. I don't have any other voice actors with me. If I'm lucky, perhaps another voice actor has recorded before me so I can hear them. But for whatever reason, I usually am the first one. I think because I'm easy to book. But anyway, so as a director, though, you have to explain what's going on in the show. They don't get the script ahead of time. They don't read their lines ahead of time. It's always in the moment. That's your line. Read it a second, and then we're going to go. We're going to say it. So you have to explain to them what the line means, what the intention of the line is, make sure they understand what they're trying to get out of the other character, what they're trying to make that other character feel, how they're trying to connect with whatever's happening in the scene so that they deliver the line with the right intent. And so sometimes that can be tricky. So you really have to know as the director how each line should be said within a scene to support the plot and all of those different things. After everybody's recorded, you watch it, you make sure everything sounds great, you make sure everything fits in those little flaps. You work with an extremely talented engineer. The engineers that we have at Funimation, on a side note, are all brilliant. They do not get nearly enough credit. And these guys, nobody could do what they do if it wasn't for these guys. They are amazing, and I think that everybody should worship them because just what they do is incredible. And I don't understand it, but I love it.
The power of Pro Tools.
That's right, man. They're just so good, and they make us sound amazing, whether it's, moving a voice around or just taking out weird sounds or pops or, if you could hear how some of it sounds the first time we record, you would be disgusted. But those guys make us sound so good. So you work with your engineer to make sure everything fits and looks right, and then it goes on to a mix engineer, and they mix in the music and everything, and you really got to, follow the project and make sure, that the story is being told and everything's consistent, and you know your stuff. So before you even start the audition process, you've watched the entire series, or at least as much of it as you can, and you've researched it and done as much as you can for that as well. As a script writer, before you start writing a script, you research it and you watch it and you read it and you get the translations and you make sure you go through it and understand what the story is about and what the characters are about and make sure that they're defined within your script. You have, I have when I'm working, I have a translation that is provided to me by some amazing translators that we have in-house at Funimation. And then I have the video, and I have another script that's blank. So I go through, and we have a time code on the video, which tells you the hour, minute, second, and frame of each frame. And whenever a mouth opens or whenever someone talks, you have to plug in that time code and be very specific so that the engineer, those brilliant people I spoke of a second ago, can know when someone is supposed to start talking. And then you do that, and you go through the script, and you adapt it to whatever is happening in the scene. And that can sometimes be a challenge. I have a tendency to get comedies, and in the Japanese, comedies have a tendency to use a lot of puns. And puns on words don't translate because they're different words. So it can sometimes be a challenge to make that translate. But our intention is always to make sure the idea, the heart of the show is the same. So the words may not be the same, or even the jokes may not be the same. The important thing in comedies is that someone laughs. And the important thing in all of the shows is that someone connects with those characters and that they have different levels and things like that. So that's what we do as scriptwriters. Does all that make sense?
It does actually make a lot of sense. I would assume
it's a lot of information.
It is, but it's a lot of information to help, a lot of the listeners out there understand where you guys are coming from, because, they don't really get to see behind the scenes. It's like this mystical place in a hidden sort of Candyland called Funimation,
Right.
But I'm curious, being on both sides of the glass, I'm sure that helps you actually in both ways, both in directing and scripting as well as voice acting.
Mm-hmm. Does it help me? I'm sorry.
Yeah, I was
sorry.
assuming it helped you being on both sides of the glass. I
would like to say no. I'm just as good now as I was before, but that's just not the case. It's definitely helped me. It's made it easier for me as an actor when I get in the booth to see how something's supposed to fit, or to understand, a joke maybe, or different. It's just everything becomes a little clearer because you get a bigger picture, and so that helps. It also helps as far as having directed to trust the director. If you've done it and you understand what's happening, it's easier to let it go that you don't know necessarily what everything that's happening at that particular moment. So that's part of it too, trusting the writer. If I'm doing a script that I haven't written, or working on a script I haven't written, I trust the writer and don't, question them or whatever like that. And not that a lot of people do that anyway, but for me it was a big difference in just being able to understand the bigger picture and see what happens, on top of the technical stuff of being able to make sure stuff fits and how to say it and where pauses are and pitches and all of that different stuff. That, of course, has helped quite a bit too.
Now, it's usually our guest's favorite part of the show, but it's time to pimp yourself out, and any projects you might be working on, or any place where the fans can keep updated on projects you're working on.
Well, all right. I am working on several projects right now and have recently completed several projects, but I cannot yet talk about them.
Understandable.
I don't know why. I cannot wait for them to announce it, but I will certainly update you on my Facebook, which is Jamie Marchi, voice actress. And if you just go, I guess we just plug it in at the top of the facebook.com/Jamie Marchi. And then I'm on Twitter at Marchi Mark, MarchiMark. And you probably want to be a little bit older. It's not necessarily for the younger fans, which now they're all going to go follow me because they think it sounds like fun. It's terrible. It's awfully boring. But I do announce what I've done and new characters that I am in, I'm playing. Recently, I, of course, directed the 3rd season of Italia. I'm very excited about that. Chuck Huber and I wrote the 3rd and 4th season together, and the movie as well. So we had a fantastic time doing that. Chuck Huber, of course, is Austria, and I am the female narrator. So we just love that show. I'm very proud of it, and it's dear to my little heart. Heaven's Lost Property is coming out at the beginning of next year, I believe, and I play Satsukatane. Her name is Mikako Satsukatane, and she is quite the sassy little character. I love her very much. She's one of my new favorite characters because it's a different voice than I've done, and she's fantastic. Let's see, what else have I done? Bakken Test has been announced recently. I think it just came out, and I'm supposed to get my copy soon. I'm very excited about it. I play Shoko in that, and I am a writer on that show as well with Chuck Huber and Leah Clark. Leah Clark is also in that show. And I'm trying to think if there's anything else. I don't think I can announce anything else, but when it comes out, it will definitely be on my Facebook. I'm very excited about the stuff that's coming out.
Understandable. And now, one thing I did want to ask, for those daring stalkers out there that want to hide in bushes, are there any conventions that you're going to in the future?
Right now, I only have one on the horizon, and it is called, one moment, please. I think it's Collision. It's hard to keep some of them. Collision Con, I think is what it's called. Yeah, Collision Con. It's in St. Charles, Illinois, just outside of Chicago, which everybody refers to as Chicago for some reason. But I was recently there, and I loved it. So I'm very excited to be going back. Fans there were amazing. Fans everywhere are amazing. So that's the only thing I have right now.
And now I'm wondering, for the end of the interview, since we are nearing the end of our time together, sad face, if you'd be willing to participate in a 91.8 The Fan tradition.
Well, that depends on what the tradition is.
We ask everyone if they'd be willing to do a radio bump for us.
Well, that I can do.
Awesome.
That's totally doable, yes.
But here's the trick with it. We do our takes on air, live on air.
Live on air. Okay, so, all right.
She's like, oh, God, I can't mess up now.
With it.
We ask if you'd be willing to say a certain line for us. The line is essentially, hello, my name is, you insert your name, I do this, you can insert characters, or that you do ADR, that you're an actress, anything you want to put in that middle section. And the important part is, and you're tuned into 91.8 The Fan.
91.8 The Fan.
Okay. I'm calling it. She grabbed a pen and paper. No, I'm kidding.
You kidding me? I always have my computer right there.
But whenever you're ready, you can try a take one.
Okay. Just whenever? Just roll whenever?
Yep.
Okay. Hello, my name is Jamie Marchi. I do voiceovers and directing and script writing for Funimation. I've been the Witchblade in Witchblade. I'm the narrator in Female Hitalia. Wait, I messed it up already. I'm the female narrator in Hitalia. Yes, and I was the writer on that show. And my favorite word is onomatopoeia. Bam! And you're tuned in to 91.8 The Fan.
Do you want to try that just one more time, or do you want to do that off air?
I could. Am I on the air trying it one more time?
Yeah, we could do it on air or off air, whatever you feel comfortable with.
Let's do it off air. We don't need to make people hear that nightmare again.
Is there anything else you'd like to tell the listeners out there?
I think that's all. Do you guys have any more questions for me?
I think we're good. I think this was a wonderful
Okay.
interview, and thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to do this.
No problem. Thank you, guys.
And for anybody out there that missed any of this interview, shame on you, but it'll be up on the website within the next few days, so keep it tuned to 91.8 The Fan, everything you want and nothing you don't.